And welcome everybody to Kit Guru. You're here with me, Christina, and today we're going to be looking at the 10 keyless K70 RGB keyboard by Corsair. This is coming in at $139.99. So if you like what we're doing here at Kit Guru, and I know I ask you all the time, but please hit that sub and like button and make sure that you check out our merch down below to support us. It means a lot to us. Thank you. To start with, when taking this out of the box, I'm pleased to see that the cable is removable for that extra portability factor, and it ends in a USB-C. The cable is a pretty thin and tight braid. This gives a rather stiff feel, great for if you're trying to get those kinks out and preventing kinks, but sometimes I find this kind of cable can kind of end up stuck up and it won't sit flat very well. You also get some freebie keycaps and a keycap puller in here as well. These are for FPS and MOBA games. This is interesting because the keys on the keyboard itself are PBT double shot keycaps, whereas the PC MOBA ones you get for free are just ABS. I know they're freebies, but I still would have liked to have seen them be PBT. The keys are textured with stipple effect, of which gives a nice grip to them, and even though this is a TKL keyboard, there are some useful media keys in the top left, as well as the 3 keys on the top right, which going left to right we have the profile switch key, the brightness key and the Windows lock key, and then of course the mute button and volume scroll wheel. In the middle you have the Corsair logo that lights up with RGB as well. The keyboard itself looks great, especially with that brushed aluminium plate on top. It gives that keyboard a really nice added bit of texture and rigidity too. There is no flex at all here as well, and I'm glad to say that the build quality all over is top notch. Underneath we have some huge anti-slip pads, and the flip out feet themselves are coated in rubber, again combating any potential slippage there. Now, you might think that's all that's on this keyboard, but on the back is what Corsair call the tournament switch. When this is pressed, it turns the lighting to static backlighting and disables custom actions and macros to prevent accidental activations. This also comes with a switch cover in case that little red LED or whatever color you set it to is annoying you or the competition or the officials. Now, with competitors in mind, speed is a must to get the jump on your opponents, and that is exactly what you get here. A few features that support this is the Corsair Axon hyper-processing technology that enables you to go up to 8,000 Hz polling rate. By default, the keyboard is 1,000 Hz, but this of course can be changed in the software, which we will touch on later. This is 8 times faster than the standard we often see at 1,000 Hz. Now, I'm probably not really a good enough gamer, i.e. at a competitive standard, hence the championship range of which this keyboard is from, but with the 8,000 Hz enabled, I can say my gaming experience in a wide range of games including Call of Duty and Elder Scrolls Online was absolutely pinpoint accurate. There was nothing to complain about at all here, but I didn't really feel or notice such a big difference. But objectively speaking, that increased polling rate can only help, but whether you consider it a big selling point is of course up to you. Now, switches, they are Cherry MX Reds in this particular K70 that we have here, but you can get them in MX Speed or Silent depending on your region. Here is a sound test for you of our sample. Now, I feel that these are particularly linear switches with no bump or click, and this is great in a tournament setting as you don't want to be distracting yourself or others. I am not a huge fan of this type of switch though normally. I can comfortably say that it didn't hinder my playing in any way, and I can totally understand the choice that they made here. It would have been nice to see a clickier switch type available though for the lesser serious gamers like myself that want to use this awesome keyboard as their daily driver as well as their gaming keyboard. Moving on to lighting, you have 8 megabytes of onboard storage here for up to 50, yes 50 onboard profiles. This includes custom macros as well as your own lighting effects of up to 20 lighting layers. I mean, wow, but I'm never really going to use that. I probably maybe use 2 or 3, but I can understand though if you're playing lots of different games, you can literally create a profile for each one, which would be pretty cool. But I don't have the patience for that, so let us know down in the comments if you do. Lighting wise, you can use FN and 1 to 0 to toggle through the 10 pre-programmed effects, and also you can use the FN keys and the plus, minus and equals and square brackets to reset onboard stored effects. You can also reduce and increase effect speed as well as rotate the effect left and right. We might as well at this point dive into the software, so let's see what's under the hood. When opening the software, make sure you have the latest up-to-date version, and also make sure that the tournament switch is not engaged, as this will mean that the keyboard will not work with the software at all. Once we click onto the K70, you can see all of the options appear down the left-hand side. Under key assignments, you can see that there are some notifications that give some really useful tips. This is nice to see. And if you click a key, you can add an assignment, and here is what you can access when the software is running, i.e. not in tournament mode. Next we have the hardware key assignment, and as you can see, this is for when iCUE is not in use, so you would use the onboard memory here. Next, in lighting, you can see I had scenes enabled, so by disabling that I can get the normal lighting settings. You can, of course, as it says, right click and configure individually, but if we add lighting layers, we can see all the presets and you can mix these all together and change the colors or customize specific areas. Again, this is not for tournament mode. For that, you will see that by default on the hardware lighting section, we have a static color as default for less distraction, and you can customize this as above if you want to. And in both of these sections, you of course have the customizable speed, etc. Next, we have performance, and here you can access which keys you would like to lock when Windows Lock is on, and if we click on the device settings, you can check your firmware and make sure it's up to date. Change your polling rate, which as mentioned earlier is default set to 1000 Hz, but you can change that here. Also, overall brightness and debounce. Interestingly, you can change the tournament light on the back to your favourite team colour if you wish. At the bottom, you can manage your onboard memory too. Also, if you click the top left where it says default, you can add your other profiles for different games, etc. Talking of games, I chucked on my favourite Call of Duty Modern Warfare and had a bash. To be honest, even though the keys are linear, I found that it was really easy to just pop on and play, and I didn't feel I had to kind of acclimatise to this keyboard at all really. Also, I'm used to a full-size keyboard, so this was so much nicer to have that extra space for my mouse to move, especially as I like quite a low DPI. In terms of features, the tournament switch is obviously aimed at competitive players, but I did find that I really like the less distracting mode that it puts your keyboard into. And I wouldn't say that I noticed a change in my KD, but I definitely felt more focused. In my time of using this keyboard, I also really liked having a volume scroll wheel, and this is probably something I would look at getting on my new keyboard. It is so much easier than using the function keys, and also goes for the dedicated media keys too. In my conclusion, I would say yes, this is aimed at serious / competitive gamers, but to be honest, it's pretty well priced for the amount of features and the quality and specs that you're getting, and anyone with this kind of budget would benefit from buying this TKL as a dedicated gaming keyboard. I personally would say that the only thing I would miss is clickier switches, but again, being aimed towards serious gamers in the competitive market, I can really understand the choices that they made here. Although as mentioned earlier, it would have been nice to see maybe a clickier switch type available. Maybe some MX blues or browns, something like that. I would comfortably say that this is the best TKL keyboard I have used for the price as well. Super impressed. Let us know down in the comments what you think. And while you're there, if you haven't already, please hit that sub and like button and check out our merch as well if you have time, and our website daily for tech news. I'm Christina, this is Kit Guru, and I'll see you in the next one.